Hey, yeah. I'm just gonna wait for Instagram to do all its stuff. I'm gonna be chatting with Chlo today, all about self-love and recovery. All right. Come on. Yay! Hello.
Hello.
Hey, nice to see you. You're so tan. You got a beautiful tan.
I did actually just put bronzer on for everyone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not natural. But guy, I've had like a bit of a mare. My setup is like proper messed up. I wish I could show you, but yeah, I think I've broken my tripod.
oh, well, it looks fine. I can see you fine. You got good
Yeah,
lighting. Don't worry about
but it's not fine.
it.
I feel
Is
like
that the
I'm in
cake?
pain as well. I have to sit like this. You okay?
Yeah, I'm really good. How's your whole day been?
Yeah, really good actually. Just the days go so quick. I can't believe it's 6 o'clock already.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's mental.
Yeah,
It's
we've
mental.
just been told we're glowing by Liv. Liv, you little flirt. Thank you.
Oh, you are. You look really good.
Likewise, so do you. How's your day
Oh,
been?
yeah, it's been good. I came on my period today. I'm just kind of taking it a bit slow.
Me
Did
too.
you as well? Oh, cool. That's
Yeah, but
cool.
I was not expecting it. Like,
Oh,
I was, no. So, guys, do not take this as vaccine stuff. But
right.
I was due on the day I got the vaccine, and I've only just come on, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That I'm not surprised by that. I'm hearing that quite a bit.
yeah,
That's
right.
fine. But
Yeah.
come on, that's
But at least I'm on now, so that's all that
yeah.
matters.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, that's cool though. So we're both on together. Normally that means that your communication can be a bit rubbish when you're on your cycle. Do you find that at all?
But yeah, so I find more the week leading up to my cycle, like the week leading up to my period, I just go a little bit like a bit loopy, and then
Oh, okay. So
but then
painful.
the day that I come on, I feel like in terms of like I've just had one of the strong just had this morning. I had one of the strongest workouts I've had in a while.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but
I'm good. Oh,
I do get a bit like can't really get my words out.
mm. Yeah, I feel that like that too, and I can't now. So we're going to be great together today. That's fine.
Yeah.
Mm. Cool. So I wanted to chat to you all about self-love today in
Yeah.
relation to recovery and also maybe in relation to HA as well, like the links between it. So let's dive right in. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, what is like your take on self-love? Like, what does self-love mean to you?
I think it covers like a whole shit bunch of spectrums, right? Like, I think
Mhm.
there's like the physical side of things, which is like showing up for yourself, like actually having a shower in the morning, or like um, pleasure, like self pleasure, pleasure in a relationship, that kind of self love. But I also think there's another side of self love, which is like having the boundaries, setting yourself
Mm.
up for a good day, being disciplined, like motivated, working towards your goals. And then I think there's another part of self love, which is sort of like also accepting where you are. And like, do you know what I mean? So I feel like for me, self love is like a holistic amount of things of like whatever works for you, which means that you're always coming back to yourself. I think what I found especially in HA recovery is that I for me self-love was always coming back to me, whether that was um having a good relationship or with myself and my body, or whether that was showing up for myself for the goals that I wanted, or whether that was, I don't know, getting to the gym, or whether it wasn't getting to the gym. Do you know what I mean? I feel like self-love can be different every like sort of
Yeah.
day for everyone.
Yeah, so the whole kind of thing put together, and you mentioned boundaries too, which I
Yeah.
think is quite important. So, like, can you give me some examples? I guess that kind of saying no when you're even on your period, like today, things
Yeah.
like that, taking a bit of a chill time.
Yeah, I think I like to call myself a recovering people pleaser. Like I
Okay.
just you like want to say yeah, and you'd say yeah to things and think flipping hell, why have I done that? And I found especially pre-recovery, in my head I'd want to do everything, but because I didn't have the energy, because I wasn't fueling myself or all of the other HA malarkey stuff, I'd say yeah to start with, and then completely, by the time the day comes, I'd be cancelling on my best mate because I said yeah to a client. Do you know what I mean? Like the week before or whatever. And I think having boundaries has been the best thing that I've learned, and I think it's come throughout recovery, because you learn so much about yourself. You know what you like, you learn what you like, what you don't like, what your body reacts to, what it doesn't react to. And I just feel like it helps build that confidence and that resilience. I love saying no now.
Yeah, you feel like it's empowering to be like, no, that's not for me.
Yeah, and like walking away from things that don't serve you anymore, I think. Whereas before I would have stayed in, whether it's relationships or whatever, I would have stayed in them so much longer as a people pleasering, as not having the confidence to be able to do that, and not having the self-worth / self-love for me to like say no and to get out of them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I feel like actually saying no, leaving things, setting up boundaries, and not being worried about what people will think about those boundaries has come as an act of self-love, right?
Yeah, that's a massive important step, because not even caring about what other people think because you're doing it for yourself, that is kind of even for how you look, I suppose, with HA, like you're obviously potentially putting on weight, and then if you've got that deep kind of conditional self-love aspect of yourself, then you might not care so much, and it kind of goes hand in hand. So do you feel like it's improved then as your journey?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it improves sort of every time I step out of, every time I challenge myself, and I don't mean that in just a workout sense or anything like that. It might be sending an email where someone might reject you. It might be reaching out to someone that's got X amount of followers, but you want to have them on your podcast. The more I step into those sort of like uncomfortable positions, I think the more I build self-love for myself, because I'm showing myself that I don't have to stay in a box.
That's interesting. And also the worthiness piece, I guess, that you are worthy of that, and it's kind of equal.
Yeah, not putting people on pedestals, you know, like everyone is just people at the end of the day.
Yeah, so true. That's something I'm trying to learn as well, because I get caught up in that kind of comparison, or that they're so much better than you kind of thing. But it's best to look at it that way.
And also like ask yourself, like, in what way? Like, what way are they better? Because like they're just on a different journey, right? Like if they might have more followers, or they might, I don't know, have a bit more, or whatever it is, they might have a few more clients or whatever, but it's like that's only because they chose to go down that path, and that's their experiences, and that's what they've done, whereas you're yours, and that's all right.
Yeah, completely. And that relates as well to HA, isn't it? Everyone's on their own journey. It's really hard to put those blinders on. You've kind of got to just remember that. Because I remember as well, like my friend, she was staying around my house for about 2 months during my recovery journey, and she was exercising a lot, eating not much, because she just doesn't really eat that much in general, and she always gets regular periods, so it's like that massive comparison thing. But I suppose if I showed myself more self-love and tuned into myself a bit more, maybe I wouldn't have felt that as much during that process.
Yeah, and I think just always, sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, it's fine.
I was just gonna say, like, just constantly reminding yourself that like this is your journey, and like how you are, like what you're experiencing right now is based off, I always say it, but your perception of your own reality, and that's exactly what everyone else is doing as well. So like someone else might be on a completely different journey, like you said about your friend that can do loads of exercise and blah blah blah, but like that's cool. And like one thing I always love to say is, if someone achieves something and like the jealous part of me wants to come up, or like the envy, just like stop yourself and like I always say like good for them and good for me too, because I'm a big believer that if people are around you are doing good things and becoming successful in their life, because they're around you, you'll be on that vibration too. So like
100%. Like you're like the formula, or whatever they want to say, of like the 5 closest people, aren't you? So yeah, that's the kind of same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think about the difference between self-love and self-esteem then?
Oh, that's a good one.
Got you thinking now, haven't I?
Self-love versus self-esteem. I think self-love is an inner thing. So like self-esteem is sort of like how you, in my opinion, right? So I'm day one period, can't get my words out.
Yeah, I know, right? Mhm.
So like I feel like self-esteem is sort of like your show to the world, as in like some people might say like, no, that's your ego, but I feel like your self-esteem is sort of like having the confidence to be you to the world, whereas I feel like self-love is having the confidence to show up for yourself when the world isn't watching.
Okay, so the first one again. So self-esteem, you reckon is?
I don't know, I've forgotten. Is it like how you show up to the world? So like,
okay, yeah.
like having confidence to sort of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
ask the guy for his number or like apply for the job or something. That's because you've got really good sort of self-esteem. I don't know the actual definitions, guys. And then whereas like self-love is like a more inner thing. So it might be like, actually, as an act of self-love, I'm not applying for that job because that job's really stressful. Or like as an self-love, it's like I'm going to have a bath, or as an act of self-love, I'm going to get that fucking to-do list done.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think more self-esteem is it can fluctuate, right? So one day you can wake up and have low self-esteem, I guess, and then that affects your outgoings of how you portray the world that day.
Yeah.
I guess the next time you might have it high, but then I guess self-love is something that can't really be shaken. It's more like solid, I guess. Would you agree that it's more solid?
I don't know. I agree. I do agree, but I think I have times where my self-love can go out the window. But I don't know if that's just like a mindset thing, right? Of like, is it something that you always have to like? I feel like self-love is always the thing that you do actually have to nurture, and and maybe like self-esteem is the thing that sort of like you have to accept that it comes and goes, because it might be based on like how stressed you are, or whether you had an argument with your boyfriend, or like maybe.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna hit another one out then. So what about self-love and self-care then? Self-care would be more in my head. So things like running a bath, I guess, that's like your self-care time. Maybe meditation might be self-care. So how would you tackle those two things, or do you think they're super similar?
I'd say self-care is an act of self-love.
Yeah, they're definitely intertwined.
I think it would come under self-love, but I don't know, because I think the word self-love, as much as I've got it in my name on Instagram, is something that people get really uncomfortable about. Whereas if you sort of say self-care, it's a bit like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I could do that. Do you know? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like as an act of self-care, having a bath, meditating and all that, I do that because I've got some form of self-love.
Yeah, and you think you're worthy of that. Yeah, and you love yourself in a way. Like, I suppose
that's hard, eh?
with self-love, does that mean you always love yourself? Does it like mean no matter what? So maybe you're having a really crap day and you don't feel great, but then a switch goes in your head and you're like, but I accept and love myself no matter what, no matter that I've got what's going on today, that kind of thing.
Going back to what I said about, I think the word love, like self-love, I still struggle with the word self-love. As much as I'm woo-woo and I'm all for it, I cringe at it, because I don't think self-love is as blank as what self-love is. I feel like self-love is showing up every day and knowing no matter what mistake you make, no matter the shitstorms that it's all right, mate, you're all right. And I think that's self-love, of like not thinking you're the dog's bollocks, not thinking you're amazing, waking up and looking in the mirror and thinking, bloody hell, I'm having a really ugly day, and just knowing that it's all right, I'm still all right.
Yeah,
I feel like that's more, like rather than going around thinking like I'm amazing, or like I'm so full of self-love, it's just like no matter what sort of life throws at you, you still know that like in here you're good, like you're an all right person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? What's your thoughts around it?
Well, I kind of, I do agree. And I feel like, self-love is something that maybe can't be shaken, I guess.
Okay.
So you can obviously feel a bit more self-loving one day than the next, but I guess it's kind of deep down knowing and acceptance, maybe acceptance, self-acceptance is a better word.
Yeah, I think so. I think acceptance sits better with me than love. But I don't know if that's also like the journey that I'm on. I don't know. The word love, maybe that's my problem. I ain't got a boyfriend, so maybe I have a problem with the word love.
maybe there's some deep dive into it.
I did the oh, it's quite embarrassing. I did the attachment, like love attachment
style.
I'm avoidant.
So I can't remember what I was.
Is it the secure? Is it you're either secure? The attachment style. That's it. The love attachment. Yeah. So you're either like secure, insecure, or avoidant. And yeah, I'm avoidant. Maybe that's why I struggle with the word self-love.
So what does that actually mean, avoidance? As in you like your own space? And if someone says like, I love you, you're like, get away from me?
Yeah, but I don't think, like, not necessarily, yeah, it is. It's like, I want to love, like, I want to be, but I struggle to let people in. Or like people, like, I really like my own space. So like I can really sort of notice sort of like needy and then I'm like, oh. But like they're also like some other avoidant like characteristics are like quite toxic. Like they'll be like, yeah, I want to be with you forever, and then the next day be like, God, did I really say that?
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Is it a little quiz online or something?
Yeah, it's a book. It's called The Attachment Theory, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think it really helps. I personally, I really resonated with it, and I read it, and then like thought, wow, yeah, that's true. That's really where I want to work on. Like one of my big things is really working on letting people get close to me. And sorry, we're going off on a tangent. Like rather than being Miss Independent of like sort of like accepting love, I guess.
Yeah.
Woo.
I wonder if that even.
I do want to be married, and I do want to have kids. That I do really want that. So I'm gonna have to let them in one day.
But your subconscious is not allowing it. I wonder if that's to do with self-love, even for you. Like, is there a part maybe of you that I don't know, you think's not worthy enough to open up, or if someone sees that aspect of you, I don't know, I'm going off topic as well. I'm not sure.
I think so. I think all part of self-love, isn't it? It's like vulnerability, like how worthy you think you are of love, whether that's self-love or other different loves. Sort of like, yeah, the worthiness, the how happy you are to be vulnerable, because I'm good being vulnerable in situations that just depend on me. So like work-wise, stuff like that, like I can, but I also think it's one of my toxic traits as well. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe actually out of all of this, self-love is one of the things I really struggle with. Like the deep self-love that we're talking about. Self-esteem, that's something that actually I can sort of work, like I'm confident in my abilities, but am I confident in self-love? Maybe not.
Yeah. Like, is that foundation unshakable? But I think everyone has that, like, and obviously awareness is key, but everyone's got stuff they can work on 100%.
We're going deep. I love it.
I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion on having self-love and wanting to change parts of your body?
I knew this one was coming up. I was getting really excited about it. I think you can 100% love yourself and want to better yourself. And I'm actually in a bit of a sticky situation at the moment, in the sense of I don't know where I stand with it, because I am all for women feeling absolutely incredible in every aspect of their life. So if that part of them wants to do body recomp of their body, go for it, if that makes you feel good. But I would just want to work with them to make sure that the mindset is that this is genuinely what they want, and this isn't what they think they should want, because I have seen lives transform. My best friend Zoe looks absolutely insane. My other best friend Claire looks absolutely incredible. They lift heavy, they focus on that, like they're healthy, they love being in the gym, and they look insane. And I can hands down say, and I know she won't mind, like my best mate Zoe's confidence skyrocketed from going to the gym and gaining muscle and changing her body. And I think there's so much power in that. And there is, so I'm not sure necessarily on self-love as a form of like needing to fit in a certain size, but if you want to focus on sort of like strength goals, or having like some sort of goal that's going to also as a byproduct is going to get you a body that you're going to feel absolutely incredible in. Like I've even found, going back to weight training, the amount of resilience I felt in me, and also the confidence to show up in so many different aspects of my life, because I can lift that. It's meant, well, if I can lift that, I can do that.
And there's the mental aspect of lifting it as well.
Yeah, so I think there is, I completely agree with, you know, feeling like you need to be in a certain size, shrinking yourself, fitting into jeans, let clothes bloody fit you, that's what they're there for. But there's so much on the internet now that if anyone goes to the gym, you're shit, you don't love yourself. Whereas I completely disagree. Like if you wanna feel strong and feel good, and lifting weights help you do that, 100%. If you want to go to the gym and do 50,000 of burpees to get max calorie burn, I don't think that's self-love.
Yeah, so it's definitely the intention behind it. Yeah. Because it can be a stigma, like all people that go to the gym, they have low self-esteem or things like that. But like you said, if the intention is to be stronger, or maybe for your mind or anything like that, and to help you in other aspects, yeah.
Yeah, and also like, I do think like when you look good, it helps your self-esteem, which is what we were talking about, which helps your confidence, which might help you feel like you're worthy enough for a bit more self-love. Like, and hand on my heart, like I feel, because I show up for myself now, and I don't know what comes first, it's like chicken or the egg, right? What came first? Self-love, which meant I can now approach how I look and how I eat and how I go to the gym better, or the opposite. I don't know the best approach. You know what I'm trying to say here? Like I don't quite know what comes first. Because I've seen other people that have focused on their physical bodies, have got really strong, have got like started fueling themselves properly, so they're no longer eating those shitty diet stuff, eating salads, and they're fueling themselves. They're eating like really good protein, oats, like the whole shebang, and that and that has caused them to then have the confidence to be able to show up in other aspects of their life. But then there's other people that actually shouldn't focus on the physical aspects, focus on the mindset. And that's why I work with people, because I want us to work on the physical stuff and the mental stuff together, because I think that's where like the power forms.
Yeah. No, I'm sweating.
I got that passionate then.
No, I do totally agree. Yeah, it's definitely the intention. Like you said, it's hard to know what comes first, but I feel like self-love's kind of got to come a little bit first. Otherwise, aren't you pending too much on what you look like, that it can easily be shaken. So if you lost a bit of weight and you didn't have that self-love boundary, or whatever you want to call it, like foundation, and you lost weight or you put on weight, then yeah, it will just go. Do you know what I mean? It can't be pending on something else on a slide.
Yeah, I agree, because I got into fitness to change myself because of I'll be happy when.
Yeah, that won't happen.
I'll be happy once I've lost that weight. So is it self-love, or is it just that you've got that whole coming back to yourself of being like, do you know what? I'm all right as I am, but I can be better.
Yeah, I think that's the layer. So I'm all right as I am. I'm accepting as I am, but maybe I want to be a bit healthier. I want to be a bit stronger. I want to do this. So I want to be
or even like I'm all right in this aspect of my life. I'm decent in this aspect of my life. I'm cool here. I'm good here. I'm good here. Relationship's good. That's cool. This part of my life is where I want to improve. So like it might be your career's going well. You feel good. Like you know you're a good mate, you know you've got good morals, you know you've got, I don't know, this thing you're good at, so you've got a whole bunch of stuff that confirms to you that you're a really good person. But there's this side of you that you think, actually, do you know what, on the beach this summer, I don't want to cover, I want to be a bit more body confident, and that's the area I'm going to work on now. But I'm going to work on that knowing that I'm a decent person because I've got all of this to prove. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, whereas I think when I got into fitness, it was the guy at the time that I was with was looking elsewhere. I was only 16. He was looking elsewhere. And it was like, oh, okay, well, you're really shit because he's, you know, like sort of teenage life, isn't it? He's your whole life. You're really shit. That's all you've got to focus on. You've got to impress him. You've got to be the best person you can be. What are the best types of people? Well, they're skinny, they look like this, they look like this, they do this, this and this. So I'm
what is like culture and social media telling you? Yeah.
So then I had to go and do all of that. Whereas like if and now I'm happy to work on my body, I'm happy to work on my strength, I'm happy to own the fact that I want to look and feel good, but I'm all right with it because I know I'm all right because I've got all this shit to back me up. To say that I'm an all right person.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. So what would you say are some tips then for some people in HA recovery in regards to cultivating some more self-love, which we all need, but in recovery it's even harder, isn't it? You're seeing your body change and things like that. So how can we add a bit more self-love?
Forgiveness is a big one. And I actually journaled quite a bit on it at the weekend. I thought I had dealt with a lot of stuff, and I think there's always more. I mean, I'm sure you'll know this, like you'll probably do this quite a bit in your work, but like there's always layers. And I thought I had forgiven people, situations, and actually like a lot of the time I actually had to go back. And one of my favorite sayings is like, forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone what they did or what you did to yourself. It's just like not be willing to hold that negative emotion, because at the end of the day, for as long as you don't forgive someone, you're the only person that it's affecting. And I think there's a huge part of like forgiving yourself, but also not just looking at people that might have harmed you, whether it was matey that cheated on you, or your brother that called you fat, or your aunt that commented on your weight gain, or any of that. It might be actually you need to go back and think, okay, I really need to forgive diet culture. I need to forgive Women's Health magazine when they posted that triggered me, which actually just to clarify, I think Women's Health magazine is actually a really good magazine and they're doing some really good work, but but like you might need to forgive diet culture as a whole. You might need to forgive your mum for taking you to her Weight Watchers and like, what things did you do as a kid or in your past that sort of affirmed to you that you weren't good enough? And go back to that place and forgive yourself for not fueling yourself, forgive yourself for not knowing, forgive the schools for not educating you, and like go deep, like go like big, because I think once you can deal and you realize what you can forgive, then you can sort of release and let go of sort of emotions. And then I think tip 2 would be learning and releasing, letting go and trusting that the universe has got your back. Like, you've got through absolutely every single shitstorm that you've been through in your past. You'll get through this one.
Yeah, trust is so important, but really hard, isn't it, through the journey?
Yeah, you're not a unicorn either. I like saying that as well.
Yeah, even though I wish I
work for you. Yeah, if you show up for yourself, you do the work, like it will work for you. You've just got to get through that stickiness, right? Ride the wave.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I'd add as well, maybe like even affirmations and things like that.
Yeah, what sort of things do you do with like your sorts of clients? Like, what would you say would be good for recovery?
With self-love stuff. Try maybe writing down 5 things, or maybe more if you can think of stuff that you like about yourself / even love about yourself that aren't related to how you look, is kind of a good one. There's different like mirror techniques where you're looking in the mirror. I say mirror a bit weird, by the way, sorry.
I love it.
Down, come up. Looking in the mirror and without any clothes on or in your underwear, and you're looking at your body and you're describing it in a neutral or positive way, just things like that. And kind of, I suppose, zooming out. So when we're looking in the mirror again, bloody hell, you're looking straight at your arms, or you're straight at your belly, or whatever. So just kind of looking at yourself as a whole person, as well. They're kind of key aspects, I'd say, to build on that self-love.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I also say about when you're going through recovery, we're always so focused about like what other people are going to think about us. Like, what's matey at the gym going to think because I've gained weight? I'm going to a family barbecue, what they're going to say, and all of this. And I always love the sort of thought of like, at the moment, you've got the spotlights on everyone else, and like absolutely everyone. So you're thinking, okay, spotlight on you. What are you thinking of me? What are you thinking of me? What are you thinking of me? And actually, what would be the best thing for us to do would be to turn those spotlights back around on us and be like, actually, how do I think? How do I feel? How do I want to feel at the barbecue? How do I feel better about myself? And suddenly I think that helps with the whole like worried about what other people think.
Usually if you're really worried about what other people think, which is obviously very normal, I suppose it's more because you are maybe judging other people as well. So like, you're thinking they're judging me, but actually, like you said, you can flip it right around and be like, well, do I judge them? Like, maybe that's why I'm thinking other people judge me, because I judge other people, and then that sits with you, kind of thing.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I'm always a big bit, and it's so much easier said than done. But I'm a big believer that like, if you're triggered by someone, take a look at how you act like that to yourself.
Yes.
So if someone makes a comment and you feel like an initial, whether it's like, and this can be applied to anything, and you get that initial sort of like punch in sort of like chest or stomach or wherever you feel it, like sit and think, how did that make me feel? Why did that make me feel? And where am I like that to myself or others, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. I need to remember to try and do that. I've heard that before, and it is definitely a good one.
Yeah, it does. It helps the like, stops that initial like spike reaction back as well, you know, like when someone says like, I don't know, oh, you've changed, or yeah, you look different, and like naturally you want to go like, yeah, well, whereas like it stops that because you think, oh god, yeah, that hurt, oh okay, yeah, where do I make those little comments? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you're saying that. Someone said to me the other day, because obviously I still feel like that a little bit, because I've obviously am a bigger size now that I've got my period back for a while. And yeah, I saw someone and they was like, oh, you actually look really healthy. And they said they were scared to tell me at first, but then they messaged me later and was like, oh, I'm scared to tell you, but you actually look really healthy now. But the first instinct was like, oh, what do they mean by healthy? Like, again, because you were so like diet culture, like telling us that, oh, healthy must mean you look bigger or whatever, which is crazy. I was like, oh no, that is actually a really great compliment. He obviously means I actually look healthy now. But yeah, like you said, just catching yourself is really good. I think the question, does the weight really distribute? I have just on my belly, just fat on my belly.
Yeah.
I think it pretty much, yeah.
It depends. It really does depend. Like, the way it can distribute depends, like whether that's holding water weight, but also like it really does depend. It depends on like genetic factors about like where you naturally hold more fat. So like, depending on your shape, it depends on whether you, I want to be careful saying this, but like, if you continue to weight train, some of as you increase weight, some of that might have been muscle. So did you do any of, do you know what I mean? It will depend on your lifestyle factors, like so much. Yeah. So,
and like you said, water weight, and even like cortisol, like even if you're really high stress, you carry a lot on your lower belly as well. So yeah, just things like that. It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
I found personally for me, it completely redistributed. I felt really swollen throughout recovery. I've just felt like big all over. Whereas now I only really feel like that a couple of days during my period.
Yeah, yeah, same. I've also would like to ask about the link between, if you think there's a link between self-love and HA, I guess. So self-love and eating disorders, self-love and overexercising or even disordered eating. Some
Yeah,
kind of, we spoke about the worthiness piece. I guess that's going to kind of be a big focal point.
yeah, I think so, 100%. And I don't again, like I said, like self-love word.
Yeah, self-acceptance then.
It's the self-worth. It's
Yeah.
the worthiness. It is that how worthy you feel about just living, achieving your goals. And I think 100%
Taking up
self-love.
space.
Yeah, having how much do you believe in yourself? Like, how much do you like who you are, and do you feel like? Because I feel like sometimes growing up, and like it can be literally like what a guy says to you, it could be what a girl says to you, it could be what you read in a magazine. Will be hit as sort of kids in loads of different areas that will be so subconscious, affirming different things that you are shit and you aren't worthy. And I think all of those things then build up, and then you add in sort of like HA, which can come, like for me it was around around control. So like in times where I felt really out of control, I could control my food, or I can control how much I move my body, and it was a way of me sort of like distracting myself from those sort of like things that I might have not wanted to deal with, but I did it in a destructive way because I didn't have that self-worth for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hugely passionate about bringing this sort of shit into school without the swear words.
Yeah.
Just because I think
When you're like a sponge soaking it all up.
yeah, like you're soaking everything, but also like you're soaking social media up, and we're just constantly told like, yeah, that person's better than you, that person, do you know what I mean? And I feel like all of this can hit, and which does lead to HA. I think there's a huge well, every single girl that I work with has really low self-worth.
Yeah. 100%. And it can boil down to childhood for sure a lot of the time. Yeah, and even whenever I dig down deeper into beliefs with clients, it all comes down to them not feeling accepted or wanting to be accepted. So yeah, and I guess that then led us down this path. So
Yeah,
therefore,
and also like like looking at like safety, like how safe do you feel? Like, do you feel safe in your environment, in yourself? Do you feel safe? Because often I find that we seek experiences that affirm certain things. So if we don't feel safe within ourselves, we'll continue to do habits that show us that we don't feel safe in ourselves. So for example, like if I don't feel safe and worthy in myself, I'm going to continue to do things like starving myself, like forcing myself to do loads of HIIT, like trying to change my body to be fit into a smaller frame.
yes. Yeah, 100%. I think that answered it pretty well. So it definitely does link, which is why recovery is not black and white, really. There's all different aspects that you need to help and to dig into. What are you going to say?
But I've just got I've just got one thing.
Yeah.
In majority of cases, there is an athletic performance, because obviously a lot like people like there is so much HA in the sporting world, which actually has nothing sort of that will just be poor coaching, or like just uneducation, or lack of education, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's I feel like that's sort of like maybe a different kettle of fish, in where like your focus is so goal orientated and you're sort of like in that sort of culture. So it might not necessarily be like a self-love.
Lack of self-love. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be more of like your priorities at that time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I suppose they're misinformed, but I guess we're all misinformed as why we all got down that road.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah.
I've got 2 questions. I've written them down that from people.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go on.
It's getting heated. For Ashley, is it okay to miss a period? You can say your thoughts. I can say mine or whatever.
I mean, one's not going to kill you, but yeah, it's like I've stolen the saying off James Smith, but one hot day don't make a summer. So if you miss one and you can catch it and you can be like, oh shit, I've like sort of like done, whether it's under eating, whether I've just been a bit stressed, whether I've neglected myself, just nip it in the bud and try and get it back. Cool. But I think it's a slippery slope. So it depends whether you've worked on the mindset to be able to do it. What about you?
Yeah, one period, it can just be anything really. Could have had a really stressful month, or perhaps you was under eating a little bit or overexercising that particular month or something. So yeah, just notice it, but don't get too super stressed out.
Yeah, and like
Amenorrhea is like 3 months, isn't it, really? So,
and like people can lose their period like from going through like a really like sad grief and things like that. So like
traveling.
Yeah, coming off the pill, like there's loads of things. So
fine. And then from Melissa, how do you know if you are eating enough or not binge eating? At night, she doesn't know if she listens to her hunger or binge eats. So that, what's your response?
I'll let you go first. You go first.
Okay. So initially I'd be like, okay, so you think you're eating a lot at night, therefore what springs to mind is you're probably restricting through the day then. If you're eating, you're saving your calories. So common. Don't be hard on yourself, but you're probably saving your calories till the later on. And also, I wouldn't really class it as binge eating personally when you're going through recovery. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel like you probably think you're being ridiculous with calories because you've been restricting and like your hunger hormones change and things like that. But I wouldn't be worried about it, even if you think it is absolutely crazy. Your body needs it right now. It's not going to be forever. That's kind of my response.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you feel like you are genuinely binging, I would definitely get some help for that. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow with someone that suffered from binge eating, Abby. So that'll be a good one. But my advice would be eat big at the start of the day. As soon as you wake up in the morning, have a huge, like, don't just go for 40 grams of oats, go 80, protein, like the whole shebang, all the toppings, and then eat regularly throughout the day. Then at night, if you still want a shit ton of food, go for it, but at least you know you haven't restricted. And like what you said, like, is it a binge? If it is, I think get some professional help. If it is literally you're eating, I don't know, 5 packets of crisps, chocolate bar, biscuits, because you don't really feel that satisfied, or like you're sat in front of the telly and whatever. If you're in recovery, like, there's bigger fish to fry. Like just go with it. And I'm a big believer, especially in recovery, mental hunger is a thing in recovery. So like if you find yourself thinking about food, if you're obsessing over the 10,000 calorie challenges on YouTube, which is everything that I did, then it's probably a sign. And also, if you don't have your period back, then like that extra food that you're giving yourself is probably going to help, as long as you're looking at the rest of your life in terms of like stress management and mindset.
And even like, what are you eating? Are you binging on like loads of veg or I don't know, something like that? Whereas if you had a more of a balanced plate earlier, maybe with your fats and your carbs and things like that keep you fuller for longer, maybe as well you wouldn't feel like you're eating constantly as well. Like we don't even know what you're eating kind of thing as well.
Yeah, and also like, are you eating something? If you're eating what you want, just enjoy it, mate. Like you spent, if you've got HA recovery, like if you've got HA, you've probably spent bloody ages restricted. Like if you want to eat 3-4 chocolate bars and some crisps of an evening, so what? Like just it's probably eventually it will get boring. Like I went for a stage of eating cream eggs non-stop. Like
like Magnum lollies, like multiple day every day.
Multiple every single day, and I'd do the whole tomorrow I don't need to eat, and I'd go and I'd eat 5, but the thing is that they get boring. Like you just give yourself enough chance so that the fear food isn't a fear food anymore. And like that, like I don't like you throwing the word binge around, because I know some people are affected by it based that have actually gone through like binge eating.
I can't talk experience for that.
Those bingy foods that you feel like junk food that you might be binging on or whatever, like you'll get bored of it.
Yeah, it's because you're giving yourself unconditional permission, aren't you? So it's not even a big issue, like a big deal to eat that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. I think we'll leave it there then.
Yeah,
Thanks so
I'm gonna
much.
go have dinner. And
Yeah.
I need to. I'm sweating.
Okay,
Every time I do these lives, I sweat so much. I think it's that anxiety.
oh, I was thinking, are you wearing a jumper? Yeah, you are.
I am wearing a jumper. Yeah.
Why are you wearing a jumper?
I know.
It's not it's quite hot here.
Day one of period as well, so I'm sweating.
Yeah, yeah, you do get a bit hotter.
Yeah.
I think actually, I'm thinking, do you? I feel a bit hotter during my period. Yeah, even though the hormones have gone down. But all right, well, thanks so much.
Yeah,
That was a good
thanks for the invite.
No worries. Hope you have a nice rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Have a nice evening.
See you later.
Bye.